So let me thank all the speakers of today's session and also chair, chairs of the sessions. Now I think the lecture session is over. I request the main persons behind this entire scene, namely Professor Arijit Samal and Professor Vishwanath and Professor Ravindran, who have been instrumental. And I request, now I give my mic to Arijit to take.
Thank you, Vishwanath, for putting me up here. So you should be up here. So I think there has to be a long list of thank yous, and an event like this is not possible without the support of several people. So I apologize at the outset if I missed anybody. I think the complete institute has to be um, thanked for having organized this very successfully. So I have made a list. Let me just go in some order. Firstly, to organize the event, we need funding. And we need to thank the Department of Atomic Energy for their generous support to conduct this meeting. We can happily say that we have used not much of the money which they actually allocated. And in particular, the APEX project given by Department of Atomic Energy, um, which has supported this event. So I would like a round of applause for the Department of Atomic Energy for this support. In this regard, we have to say that we have had unwavering support from our director, who is also part of the local organizing committee. He's an accomplished scientist, but he gives such reassurances to us that you go ahead and do whatever. He never interferes, and thank you, sir, for that. We really value your support in organizing these events. Of course, scientists can only work if administrators let them work. And one thing I really valued during my postdoctoral training was what I learned from the secretaries in the Max Planck Institute, which runs like very smoothly. I mean, people really want to emulate. So the first day I arrived there, they mentioned to me that we are here because you scientists are there. And we have to do our job better so that you can perform better. While this has never been articulated for our institute, in the relative sense in the Indian scientific landscape, math science, though very small, continues to be a very efficient administration. And in particular, our administrators are not just administrators, but they continue to be human. They make us feel like their family, and I really value them. And this is, of course, led by Mrs. Vinay Lata and Mrs. Indra and their team. I can't thank them enough. Everybody has to thank them. We see that the institute is functioning today. If you had seen 10 days back in Mishong, where we are, we didn't believe. I was standing outside in OMR. I didn't believe this event could happen where we were. So I think a big round of applause to everybody who allowed this to happen. And I must say that I had no faith that this would happen. And again, Vishwanath, amazing how cool you are. So in that context, apart from Mrs. Vinayata and Ms. Indra who lead this, we want to thank, of course, Sadhna, Maurya who support. In particular, in the director's office, Mr. Babu has written umpteen number of emails. I don't know how we thank him. At any hour, he has sent emails to our requests, and his support has been unwavering. For accommodation, in particular, Mr. Johnson and his team, amazing. The housekeeping activities, especially in this condition. Similarly, for air travel booking, Mr. Shankaran, several people in the admin helped out with the transport arrangements and the reimbursements. Mr. Chandrasekhar, Mr. Sashi Kumar. For local travel arrangements, Mr. Johnson, and of course our contracted travel agencies, who are like Family Street, Pamban Travels. It never goes wrong. We really need to acknowledge them. So all admin members who have supported us for all the non-academic parts of it. Then in this age of media and computers, again our computer systems were down. We didn't have mail server for 1 week almost. So I think our media team and the computer team deserves a big applause. Of course, Mr. Vasan in the computer group, Mr. Ravindra Reddy and Mr. Rao who lead it. And we could not have, since COVID, all this archival work for Ms. Gayatri. She has been a constant support in recording, and I don't know what number of hours has increased in the last 3 hours on the Math Science channel on YouTube. I mean, in spite of all the troubles we have had, she has been recording, on the weekends, and this we are going on. So Ms. Gayatri and Mr. Shiva and media, thank you all. And also Ms. Pushpa Visuals for supporting us with all the equipment. Moving on, the electrical team has done a lot of work. There were many hiccups. Again, we had Mishong. So I think the electrical team led by Mr. Mohan and his team thank you all for all the support. Further, we also required the support of the civil team. Mr. Sundar and his team really worked hard. In this case, I would like to mention that we would like to thank the sculptor, Mr. K.G. Ravi, who created the bust of Aladi Ramakrishnan. And actually, I would like to thank our registrar, who actually suggested a much more appropriate and prominent place for the bust. So it was her idea. And the civil team actually worked through the night before the conference to ensure after Mishong that it actually could be set up so that Mr. Narayan Murthy could come and unveil it in a proper fashion. So I think Mr. Sundar and his team gets a huge round of applause for that as well. Of course, this place had to be cleaned up. And I don't know how I think our housekeeping and security staff, what they have managed. They have just tirelessly worked to make this at least even, inhabitable, right? So I think they deserve a big round of applause. I don't know what to say. How much they have worked, I don't know. Certainly more than 70 hours, which Mr. Narayan Murthy would have liked. So apart from that, no conference is enjoyed if you don't have good catering. And we have really two people who are really innovative, Mr. Rajkumar and Mr. Krishna Balaji. And Mr. Munuswamy, Mr. Amarendra, you have enjoyed lunch and all the things, so they were really at it. And again, Mr. Johnson for all the stationery and arranging other facilities and his team. So we also received support from the outreach team. Ms. Disha, who is there, she made the webpage template and that you see on the webpage, and Ms. Varuni for the social media posts as well. So we thank them all. So this is essentially, if I apologize if I missed any non-academic person to thank here. So moving on to the scientific part, I need to thank the scientific committee first. That is Professors Jagannathan, Mr. Wall-Smith, Professor Parthasarathy, Professor Krishna Swamy Aladi, for actually giving such deep ideas which have shaped the conference, especially the program, because at the end of the day, we are scientists. We enjoy the scientific program. In this context, it needs to be said that we have deep appreciation for Professor Krishna Swamy Aladi because he actually suggested that he could get Professor Narayan Murthy. And his visit has been really inspiring for us. We have to agree that he has appreciated what we have achieved, but also asked for serious introspection so that we can take the institute to the next level. I am also thankful we are very thankful to Professor Krishna Swamy Aladi for actually giving all the great advices, which I think he is deeply invested that this institute, which was founded by his father, goes to the next level. And in this context, I think I would like to express on behalf of my director our deep gratitude that you have started something which has never happened, which is a donation to start a new lecture, support our students for international travel, and also outreach program. I think you have mentioned in our private conversations that you would like to see matching like in US. I have tried to convey why it is not possible in the Indian government system, but we assure you that this is a start for something big, and you would be assured that this institute will actually fulfill your dreams. In this context, I would like to thank all the invited and distinguished speakers who gave their talk, especially also on science and policy. This was also important because here I would like to mention that many people have enjoyed the IMSC 60 program, but actually we have not given the right credit to the person who was behind it. So here's a story which I need to share because somebody doesn't want to take credit. So actually there was a BAE OM which asked us to do several activities for 2 years as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And there was an online meeting because we were in the middle of COVID, which was called by a director to get ideas. And I had a minutes of 6 minutes because I just was doing clerical work as chair of the outreach committee. And in that meeting on September 6th, 2021, it was Vishwanath who proposed that we have to celebrate Aladi's foundation entrepreneurship. This institute, which is part of both science and culture of Sikkim Indonesia. So actually his idea led to IMSC 60 kickoff and IMSC 60 celebration. I think he has not taken the credit. It was he who actually proposed it. And so it is not by chance that the centenary is also beautiful. So I think he needs to get the credit. So I'll just like to make some few comments about what we have heard from the policy and the scientists. So what we actually learn, and what I learned actually, I'm very new to the institute, only 9 years, is that Professor Ramaswamy mentioned that this institute continues to be a singularity. And why singularity? So what I have, at least my humble understanding of this thing, and we all appreciate but don't articulate, is the following. That if you think of Einstein, he said imagination is more important than knowledge. But you can only imagine and do creative science in the right environment. And it is important to acknowledge Aladi's contribution in those times to think of an institute which allows creative science. So I think we assure you that we will protect, nurture and value this institute in that sense. Because I also think that boredom is also required for sparking new ideas. So I think this institute is laid back enough to allow the boredom to think of creative science. Moving on to the speakers, I can't thank enough for the scientific contribution and showing us that what rich heritage we have of visitors and so on in this institute. I don't know, I also want to express some thanks to my colleagues. So Meena, Professors Meena, Venkatesh, Amri, Professor Balu and Professor Ajay. In particular, they supported us in the visit of Professor Narayan Murthy. And, I will let Vishwanath say it. I think I may be missing people. So finally, my two other local organizers apart from the director, Professor Srinivas. Srini, I don't have a sibling, but I never missed a brother during this time. So you have been so reassuring. So I can't thank you enough. So this is one conference I've organized many where the committee members have never visited, never come. I don't know, this has to be done. And finally, the person who should be standing here and getting all the credit. So me and Srini would agree that we only came for 1 week, right? We worked for 1 week and 1 week when you were visiting in August. But this, continuous travel is because of one person. And that's the person Vishwanath. He doesn't want to take the credit. I don't know why. Let's put out the elephant in the room, right? Nobody wants to ask the question. Why am I standing here? It's a physics conference or a math conference. What is the computational biology doing here, right? This needs to be addressed, right? But I will give you the answer because I don't want you to go home without an answer to this. So, during the COVID times in several years, I made various friends. Okay? The point is that Vishwanath is one individual amongst many. My colleagues inspire me to be a better scientist, which I am not. But Vishwanath inspires to me a better human being. So I want to work with all the time with him because having him around makes me a better human being. And as my colleague Venkatesh Raman in an email today mentioned, so I will, without his permission, use his words. This would not have been possible without his cool, collective and practical attitude. So Vishwanath, thank you for everything. And I hope to be working with you.
Just like to deny everything that he said. Maybe we should thank Arijit for this very unusual and interesting vote of thanks. So of course I just like to echo his sentiments. I think, he didn't quite mention, but the cyclone, I think the water sort of got up to this level. You can still see the mark here. So this is how far the water was in this room. So just below the switchboards. I think we escaped that. So the first couple of rows, I think, were completely submerged. And that was sort of the state not so long ago. And I think all thanks to our admin. And I think this is maybe one conference where every single member of the admin, the institute, sort of working, desperately against time, in spite of, I would say personal situations. They had water up to 6 feet in their own homes. So on the one hand, trying to pick up the pieces of their own lives while at the same time trying to put together this, somehow it's an ethic I cannot identify with at all in any way. So I think all hats off to these people. So I think that's what makes IMSC somehow very special. I think suddenly a sense of shared collective purpose and we somehow need to get this done. And, right at the very beginning when Krishna sort of mentioned this, so we thought we should really have this centenary, on the one hand as a celebration, but sort of also partly to inspire ourselves somehow. It's a way of inspiring ourselves, our students, people who pass through the institute. So I'm really very happy it's sort of worked out very well. And Krishna wants to say something.
So Arijit was saying that Vishwanath is in the background, doesn't come forward. So I have to thank the persons with whom I have worked. So there were these two committees, the local organizing committee and the scientific committee. And first of all, I'm a very nervous person. Even before an event starts, I'm nervous. I want everything to go through smoothly. The previous night, I don't sleep. Mathura, my wife, was telling me, why are you so nervous? I said, things have to happen as you programmed, and many things can go wrong. So I'm very nervous. So when I heard about the cyclone and so on, I became extremely nervous. And I was putting phone calls to Vishwanath. So Arijit was saying that he lost hope when he saw this water being locked all around. But Vishwanath is one person, he will reassure you. So he kept telling me, yes, all this water is here, it's 1 foot of water in this place, but the Math Science staff are working with, what did you use the word, military type operation. Everything will be fine, don't worry, we'll get this done. So I really appreciate your optimism, because if you had made me nervous, I would have collapsed. So, and my daughters were telling me, how can you call someone at 7 a.m. in the morning? I mean, you have to wait. I said, listen, I don't know when he goes to work. 7 a.m. he'll be at home, so I have to call him. So my apologies if I have called you too often, but you are very patient, and I don't know how many calls we put through, maybe 24 calls over the last several days. So I should say that both the organizing committee and the scientific committee were extremely enthusiastic and cooperative and very reassuring. And without that, I don't think I could have managed this, at least from my side, to do anything. So I'd like to thank both the committees, every member of these two committees, as well as the staff of Math Science. I was told that this place had so much water and there was some smell, but I don't get any smell now. So I don't know what you did with these carpets. It's amazing. We live in a country where we have carpets everywhere. Maybe we should learn from you how to deal with these situations. But anyway, I want to thank the entire Math Science group for their tremendous amount of work in putting this conference together and making it such a success. You don't know how much I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. So the conference concludes. So just a couple of announcements. Lunch will be on the other side on the upstairs. And in addition to the conference itself, so there's, in line with today's number theory day, there's yet another number theory talk, this time as part of the joint thing with the Academy of Sciences Chennai and Math Science. So this is typically an annual event that's held. So this time we sort of combined it. So Krishna will speak on, I forget his title, on the number of divisors, number of prime factors. So it's going to be a number theory talk. It will be again in this auditorium from 3 to 4:15 around. Yeah. So yes, yeah, his talk is an hour. The event will start at 3. So there's yet another number theory talk for people who would like to attend. Yeah. So please come. Yeah. So the conference concludes. We can go for lunch. Yeah.